Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Facebook Live today. I'm so glad to see so many of you joining us for a very, very special session today about a really exciting feature that was recently released on MyHeritage. We're so excited about this one. Today, we'll be talking about the new genetic groups on MyHeritage, a long-awaited feature that we released just before Christmas. Very, very exciting. It's an enhancement of the ethnicity results on MyHeritage DNA, and we now have a resolution of MyHeritage's ethnicity breakdown to 2,114 geographic regions, and we provide more depth and resolution than any other DNA test available today. Very, very exciting, and we're going to go into a lot of depth and show you around, and then even answer your questions. So it's going to be a fantastic session. Before we get to that, we will also have a giveaway today. We'll be giving away a MyHeritage DNA kit. So for anyone that is interested in their genetic groups and hasn't taken a MyHeritage DNA test yet and would like to, so that they can also see their genetic groups, their ethnicity estimate and genetic groups, now's your chance to win a MyHeritage DNA test. So in order to enter, if you haven't taken a MyHeritage DNA test, put a comment or a question in the questions box. And if you have, and you've already tried out the MyHeritage genetic groups, let us know what you think about them. Let us know what they taught you. Did they confirm what you already know? Did they give you a new direction to now go and explore? We'd like to hear. So please let us know about your experience in the comments section. And at the end of today's Facebook Live, we'll be choosing one winner, and they will receive a MyHeritage DNA kit. So very, very exciting. Please leave us comments. I see we're already getting lots and lots of comments from viewers around the world. We have Elaine from the UK and Sharon from Northern California. Let's see, we have Petra from Czechoslovakia and Miriam from Massachusetts. So really all over. Sylvia from Ontario, Canada. That's where I'm from. Hello, Sylvia. So hello to all of you. So great to see you all with us. If you haven't written to us yet and let us know where you're from, please do. We love seeing all the different places that everybody's joining us from. If you're new to our Facebook Live series, just to let you know that we do these Facebook Lives 1 to 2 times a week, offering some great sessions about various topics in genealogy and DNA from experts all over the industry, and also from MyHeritage employees. They come to tell us all about the different features and answer your questions. So we have a schedule that's on the MyHeritage blog, blog.myheritage.com, with all the upcoming sessions that we have in January. Every month we post about the new sessions that we have coming up that month. And you can also watch all of our previous sessions. We have sessions all the way from 2020, many different sessions, and you can watch them on the MyHeritage Facebook page under the video section. They're all saved there. And today's session will also be saved there. So in case you missed anything or you want to rewatch it, no problem. You could just go back to the MyHeritage Facebook page under the video section and watch it again later. So now I just want to introduce our guest today. We have with us Shachar Tenenbaum, and he's a QA engineer at MyHeritage. He's been working on DNA and on the genetic groups for the past while. He knows all about them. He really worked in designing them, and he is going to give us a walkthrough of the genetic groups and then answer all of our questions. So let me bring him on and we can say hello. Let's see. Hello, Shachar. How are you?
Hi, Esther. How are you? I'm very good. Thank you.
We're so glad to have you with us today. Thank you for joining.
It's my pleasure. And hi, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. I hope you're all keeping safe in these crazy times.
Definitely, and that's especially why we're so excited to have these online sessions for everybody that's stuck at home for one reason or the other. It's a great time to do genealogy and to learn more about genetic groups.
It really is. You can really use your time, and with this fantastic new feature, there's loads to learn and loads to see, and we'll get to it in just a minute.
Fantastic. So do you want to tell everyone a little bit more about yourself, how long you've been at MyHeritage?
Sure. My name is Shachar. I've been part of the fantastic DNA team here in MyHeritage since I joined the company just over a year ago. A bit about myself: I'm married to my wonderful wife, Ina, father to my beautiful daughter, Ronnie, and also my very silly dog, Keten.
Okay, fantastic. We're so thrilled. Should I bring up your screen?
Not just yet. We'll start with a brief overview, and then we'll get to the screen.
Okay, fantastic. So I'll let you take it away and just let me know when you want your screen.
Thank you, Esther. Okay, so again, hi everyone. Thank you all for joining. Today we're going to talk about our brand new feature, genetic groups. It's been in the works for over 2 years, encompassing every part of the company, from our science team to the R&D department, our product managers, engagement team, support team, and many, many more. And we're all super excited and proud of this new feature. Genetic groups have been already added for free to anyone who has done a MyHeritage DNA test, as well to anyone who's uploaded the results from other sites. Obviously, it will be available to anyone taking a MyHeritage DNA test from now on. So if you haven't done so already, now would be a great time to start and explore your DNA heritage. And there will be a link in the comments if you want to read more about that. And now, Esther, if you could please load my screen.
There we go.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so what are genetic groups? Each genetic group represents a certain population and has its own story to tell. It could be a group of people who have all lived in the same region for centuries, or a group of people who have moved or migrated between different locations together. A group could be related to one specific ethnicity, for example, a specific town in England where all the people have English ethnicities and their families stayed in that town for generations. But it could also consist of mixed ethnicities, for example, a region in the US where groups of people from multiple ethnicities around the world migrated to, mingled, and formed a new genetic group. As a result of having millions of DNA results of users, our researchers were able to do what is called genetic clustering. It basically, to those who are familiar with this feature, one of the tools that we provide to our DNA users is the autocluster, which works in a very similar way. It basically means we took 1.7 million DNA kits and all of their DNA matches, and we clustered them together into groups based on those matches. Once we had these clusters or groups, we then looked for unique genetic signatures in their data. This allowed us to create a model that predicts membership of groups based purely on genetics, which is like the very major part of this whole project. Once we had these groups, we started an investigation process for the thousands of groups which were created, trying to learn who the people in those groups are and what is their story. It was a long and arduous process, but eventually we emerged with the 2,114 genetic groups that we have today, each with its own unique story. We then took those results, applied it to a further 2 million kits, and used the family trees to validate our predictions. The final outcome is this amazing new feature that I have the pleasure of showing you all today. Now, genetic groups don't come to replace the ethnicity estimate, but rather to expand on it, providing a better resolution and deeper understanding of your heritage. We are currently working on a new ethnicity estimate algorithm, which should be released sometime in 2021, so keep an eye peeled for that as well. Now, if you've survived all this technical stuff, first of all, great job. Now, let's dive into the feature so I could give you a better understanding of what it's really all about. Okay, so let's start with how do we actually get to see your new genetic group results? From the main DNA page, so from the main MyHeritage page, all you have to do is follow the updated flag. It's in the DNA menu, click on ethnicity estimate, and you get to your new genetic groups page. Now, for our more experienced users, people who have seen their ethnicity results before, the first thing you'll notice is a completely new and updated look with an interactive panel on the left and a great new look for the map. The ethnicities remain the same as they did before, and those are the polygons that do not have borders. So all of these ones, for example. And the polygons that do have borders are the new genetic groups, and those are the ones over here. So let's start with what we can actually do, what we can learn from this page. Let's start with the map. If you hover above a certain ethnicity, for example, this one, it's a West Asian, you will see a small pop-up which gives you a small image that represents that ethnicity, the name of the ethnicity, and the percentage. Now, the percentage tells you what part of your DNA can be traced back to that ethnicity. And if you'll notice in the left panel, when I hover above the ethnicity, it highlights it there as well. We can do something very similar to a genetic group. We simply hover above the group, and you will see it highlighted in the left panel as well. It gives you a tooltip, slightly different. It gives you the name of the ethnicity, which by and large means where the ethnicity is centered or where it's located. In this case, we're talking about a group that's located in Ireland, specifically in Cork, and partially in England. The second thing you'll see is the group description. It's basically who the people in this group are, and it's a way for you to start and understand their story. So in this case, we see Irish people in Ireland, specifically in the county of Cork, and in England, and also their descendants in northeastern United States. So it already tells you that there was some sort of migration. This group went through some sort of process together as a group, which is very interesting to see. And lastly, we have the confidence level. Now, confidence levels are our way of telling you how strongly we believe in this estimation. The higher the level, the more confident we are. Groups that have lower levels of confidence, it doesn't mean that you are not part of that group, but rather that you only have part of the unique DNA signature that defines that group. If we move over to the left panel, the first thing you'll see is the confidence level bar. This allows us to choose what level of confidence we want to see on the map. So for example, if I move all the way to high, we will only see the two groups that have the highest level of confidence. And as we move it lower and lower, you'll be able to see more groups until we reach low, where you can actually see all the genetic groups that you are part of. What else can you see in the left panel? Basically, you can see a list of all your ethnicities and all the groups that you're part of. Now, the way that groups are nested under ethnicities is tailor-made specifically for you. Each group has one or more dominant ethnicities. If you're part of just one of those dominant ethnicities, the group will be nested under that ethnicity. If you're part of more than one dominant ethnicity, or you are not part of any of them, then the group will appear in a separate section called Additional Genetic Groups, which is located all the way at the bottom of the left panel. So that way you can see all of your groups and you can know if they are related to one of your ethnicities or if they are not. So what else can we do? What other functionalities do we have on the page? Well, if you want to learn more about one of your ethnicities, then you can click on it either from the left panel or from the map, and it will open the ethnicity page. In the ethnicity page, first of all, in the map, you'll have a zoomed-in view of that ethnicity, so it's easier for you to understand what areas it encompasses. You will also see more clearly all the genetic groups that you're part of that are also part of that ethnicity. In the left panel, you will see the same image as you did before, only slightly larger, so it's easier to see. The name of the ethnicity, the percentages, everything we've talked about before. Again, a list of all the groups that you are part of that also stem from that ethnicity. Scrolling further down will give you the ethnicity description. It's basically a history of that ethnicity, how it started, where it got to, and what sort of peoples are part of that ethnicity. And scrolling all the way down will show you all of your DNA matches that share the same ethnicity. And from there, you can actually go directly to the DNA matches page and view those matches there. From there, you can do a few things. You can either scroll through the other ethnicities that you are part of. You can click on any of the genetic groups to learn more about them, or you can go back to the main page. You can do something pretty similar with genetic groups. You can either click on the polygon, click in the left panel, or from one of the ethnicity pages. It's all the same. and you will get to what we call the group page. Now, this is where things start to get interesting. There's so much more data now accessible, which could give a whole world of possibilities for genealogists who want to learn more or want to explore more about groups that they are part of. So let's start with the left panel and continue from there on. So the first thing you'll notice is the ethnicity that you are part of. In this case, it's Irish, Scottish, and Welsh. The name of the ethnicity, again, usually where the group is centered or where the group is located. You who the people in this group are, and after that we also have the confidence level. Now, if you remember, I said that we used 1.7 million DNA kits to create all the genetic groups that we have on MyHeritage. So we also give you an indication on the group page of how many were used to create this specific group. So this is a pretty mid-range group in terms of size. It has 1,360 DNA kits that were used to create this group, and also 573 family trees. Now, moving further down, each of the following sections has bars to the right. When you hover above a bar, it will give you some more information that will give you some more context. And if anything is not clear, there's always a little help icon that you can click on, and you'll get a tooltip that explains more about what you're looking at. So let's start with top places. Now, top places means what are the top places that were mentioned the most in the family trees that were used to create this group within a given time period. So in this example, we're looking at the 1900s to 1950, and you can see that the location Ireland, the country Ireland, was mentioned, if you hover above the bar, was mentioned 119 times out of the 573 trees that were used to create this group. Now, if you notice, we're mentioning the time period. What does that mean for us? At the top left part of the map, you'll be able to see the time period menu. And this gives you the opportunity to look at how the group changed over time. Some groups can go as far back as the 1600s. And what you see on the map actually correlates to the top places that you see. Each point on the map, each dot, is a single mention of that location in the family trees that created this group in those specific time periods. So the brighter the point or the hotter the point, that means that that place was mentioned more in that time period. Now, this gives you a very unique opportunity of being able to see how a group grew or changed or moved over time. So looking at the 1600s, we can see that there's a lot of heat around England, not so much about Ireland, and there's also some heat in northeastern United States. But if we move through time, we'll be able to see the heat points change. You'll see more heat around the northeastern United States, less heat in England, and slightly more heat in Ireland. And as we keep moving, you can see it's becoming more and more significant until we get basically to our time where there's hardly any heat in England, mostly in Ireland and in northeastern United States. So that's a very good visual representation of how this group changed and migrated and moved across times. And at least to me, it's very, very exciting to see and to be able to learn from that, how my ancestors moved or how they lived, where they lived, and when. It's all very, very interesting to see. Moving further down, we have common surnames and common given names. Pretty much as the name suggests, those are the most prevalent surnames and given names in the family trees that were used to create this group. So if we hover above the bar that relates to the surname Murphy, you can see it was mentioned in 87 out of the 573 trees. And if we do the same for the given name John, you can see it was mentioned in 334 out of the 573 trees. Scrolling further down, you will get to common ethnicities. Like I said before, each group has one or more dominant ethnicities. In this case, there's only one, Irish, Scottish, and Welsh. But that doesn't come from the family trees of users, but rather from the ethnicity estimate that we calculate for them. So it could tell you more about the origin of the people in this group, where they came from, which is also pretty interesting to see. Lastly, we get to related groups. Those are groups that, according to our calculations, are most similar to the group that we're currently watching. It could be either be from similarities in the DNA signatures or having a large group of people in both groups. That could also indicate that they are related groups. Of course, you can do that to each and every one of the groups that you are part of. You can explore more about them, read more about them, about the ethnicities, which is a very, very powerful new tool for genealogists. But let's say you've finished. Let's say you've gone over all of your groups and all of the ethnicities, but you're still hungry for more. You still want to explore and see what other groups are there. Well, we've got you covered. All you have to do is scroll all the way down in the left panel and click on Show All Available Regions. Now, this view is pretty similar to what we've seen before. On the map, you have all the colored polygons, which are the ethnicities and the genetic groups that you are part of. And the other polygons, the gray ones, are the rest of the 42 ethnicities that we support here in MyHeritage. In the left panel, you can see all the continents. Oops, sorry about that. All the continents. Each continent is broken down into ethnicities, and under each ethnicity, you can see how many groups stem from that ethnicity, or how many have that ethnicity as its dominant one. So, for example, if we look at West Asian, which we are part of that ethnicity, we can see there's a colored dot to the left of it. That means that we are part of that ethnicity. You can also see the percentages, and it tells us that there are 92 genetic groups under that ethnicity, and the colored dot over here tells us that we are part of at least one of them. So let's start and explore. For instance, you want to go to Africa and look at the Nigerian ethnicity. You're not part of that ethnicity, and you want to learn more. So you click on the ethnicity and you open the ethnicity page. It's very, very similar to what we've seen before. You have the image, you have the name, you have the percentage, which is obviously 0 because we are not part of that ethnicity. We have the description, and under that, you have all the genetic groups that are nested under the Nigerian ethnicity. So hovering above any of the groups will show you the group polygon on the map, and you can click on any of them and start to explore more. So let's click on this one, for example. Okay, now this you can see is a smaller group compared to the one we saw before. It's only comprised of 63 genetic kits and 23 family trees. But often being part of one of those smaller groups, one of those more exotic groups, could tell you a lot about your history. Most users will have at least one group that is pretty big, that has thousands of people part of it as well. But being part of one of the smaller ones is unique and could tell you a lot more about yourself than sometimes the bigger ones could. So again, everything here is pretty much the same. Two things I didn't mention before, but they apply for the other view as well, for the main view as well. You can scroll through all the groups that are nested under that ethnicity. If you do that from the main view, you will be able to scroll through all the groups that you're part of. And one more thing is that by default, we show only the top 5 results in each section. So if you want to see a bit more, you can click on Expand All, and it will show you more than 5 if we have more than that for that section in that group. One more thing that is different in All Regions view, if you scroll all the way down to related groups, from this view, you can actually start and explore other groups as well. What does that mean? We're looking at the group called Bahamas, and I want to start and explore other groups that are similar to that. So what I can do, I simply click on one of those groups, and I get transferred to the group page for the new group. And I can learn more about that. I can scroll through its time periods and see how things changed as well. And I can keep going. I can keep going into more and more groups and explore as much as I want. And if at any point I want to go back to where I started or I get a bit lost, all I have to do is click on back to Bahamas in our case, and that will bring us back to where we started from. Okay, and guys, these were genetic groups. I hope you will all enjoy going over your results and perhaps learn a bit more about who you are and where you came from. We still have some way to go. We plan on updating those results regularly, expand on existing groups, and even add new ones. With so many new users, our research team can go even more in depth and give us even a better resolution in the better resolution. Sorry. In the coming weeks, we're also going to add a new part to the group page, which will show more clearly how different groups migrated together over time. As I mentioned before, we are working hard on updating our whole ethnicity model using the latest algorithms and data, so stay tuned for that as well. Thank you guys so much for staying with me for so long. It's been a pleasure showing you this fantastic new feature, and I hope you will all enjoy going over your results and learning more about where you came from and maybe a bit about who you are. I believe we have some time for questions, so Esther, if there are any questions for the audience, I'd be happy to answer.
Yes. So first of all, thank you so much for that overview, so thorough, and I see so many nice comments about how helpful it was. I'll just read you a couple here, Shachar, just because they were so nice. Somebody called BK wrote, "Thank you so much for making all this make so much more sense to me. Very exciting and interesting." So that's definitely true. I think that, you just laid it out so clearly. So that was very, very helpful. Thank you. And Jennifer said, "I love the informational videos." Let's see what else we have here. Petra says, "Thank you. I cannot wait to try it." So just one more word about that. I know you spoke about it briefly, Shachar, also. But for anyone who, let's say, hasn't yet taken a DNA test, or somebody who's maybe taken a DNA test with a different service. So I thought we could just address that for a moment. If they haven't taken a DNA test and they take one with MyHeritage, they'll get this with their ethnicity estimates. They'll get their genetic groups.
Exactly. They will get that, and they will get a bunch more features. They will be able to see DNA matches. They could find distant relatives, sometimes even closer relatives. They have access to all the advanced DNA features that we have. So there are a bunch of tools that you can use if you are an expert genealogist, if you're just a beginner, someone like me who's never done this before but really wants to start and explore more. Then you have plenty of opportunities. The DNA test is very easy to take. It takes maybe 1.5 minutes to do. You send it, you get the results, and it's all very, very interesting to see.
And the second point is someone who's maybe taken a DNA test with another service. So there is an option to pay the unlock fee. We do have a fee, which is, I believe, $29 US. And if you've taken a DNA test with another service, you can upload your test to MyHeritage. The upload is free, but if you pay the unlock fee, then you get access to advanced DNA features, including the ethnicity estimate and genetic groups.
That's correct. You'll have access to all your ethnicities and the genetic groups, as well as all the background to that as well. So you'll be able to go to the expanded view and read about all the other genetic groups that you're not part of and explore even more there.
Okay, fantastic. So for anyone who maybe has taken a DNA test on a different service, that's the way that you upload it. You can either do the unlock fee or upgrade to a complete plan, and then you get access to all these advanced features for all the DNA kits under your account, which is also an option, or to take a MyHeritage DNA kit itself, and then you'll get access to the ethnicity estimate and genetic groups. Fantastic. So I just wanted to put that out there for anyone who might have wondered that. And now we'll take a few questions, Shachar. For anyone who missed it, we will be giving away a MyHeritage DNA kit today at the end of today's session for one lucky winner. Yeah, very exciting. So for anyone who has tried genetic groups and wants to let us know a little bit about how your experience was, what you discovered, what you learned, please let us know in the comments. Or if you have a question for Shachar, and both ways you'll be entered in our draw for today. So I'm going to read you, we'll start with the first question. Giordano asks, how does MyHeritage choose confidence levels for genetic groups?
Well, as I said, each genetic group has its own unique DNA signature. So the closer you are to that specific genetic signature or that DNA signature, the higher that we will place your confidence. So if you have like the exact DNA signature, you'll get the highest level. If you only have like half of it or a certain part of it, we'll give you a medium level. And if you have only a trace of it, of something that we can still relate to that specific group, but it's not strong enough to be of a higher level, we will tell you it's in the lower level. But it still does mean that you are part of the, you could be part of that group.
Okay, we have a question now from Janice, and she asks, for Ashkenazi genetic groups, how much did they rely on information clients reported in their trees, and how much of this was independent of this information? When relying on information in people's trees, was any verification of the information done?
I'm sorry, can you ask that again? Something got cut off.
Sure. Janice asks, for Ashkenazi genetic groups, how much did they rely on the information that clients reported in their trees? So I guess the family tree information that came along with the kits, and how much was independent of this information? When relying on information in people's trees, was any verification of this done, of this information?
Well, it's not something that is unique for the Ashkenazi Jewish community, but rather for all groups. We basically use, there are two parts. The first part of creating a group was purely genetic. We were looking for DNA matches, and we were looking for similarities in the DNA signatures. The second part was to build a story, to create, to give the group a name, to give it a description, and say this group and who are the descendants, where they are. So that part was, that did rely on family trees. We did validate as much as we can. We tried to use the biggest, the most prominent trees we had for that. But obviously, we did rely on family trees. Sometimes there are mistakes, which is why I said that it's still a work in progress. We are going to improve. We are going to expand on certain groups, add new groups, sometimes even break down existing groups if we see that we need to. But yes, it does rely on family trees.
Okay, we have a question here from Sylvia, and she says, are there some people whose DNA results will not have any genetic groups show up? I ask because I don't have any genetic groups, unfortunately.
Yes, it could happen. Since we're looking for DNA signatures, sometimes people just don't happen to have any of the signatures that we're looking for. We have 2,114 groups, so most people will have groups at least in the lower levels, but unfortunately some people do fall between the cracks and we don't have groups for them just yet. But hopefully in the future, when we expand the model and we add more groups, we will be able to find things for them as well.
Okay, let's see. So many questions to choose from. I hope we are able to get to a lot of them. Let's see. Oh, what Charles asked, I guess this is more of a question about the development of the feature. He asks, what is the biggest surprise you discovered when revealing the new ethnic groups, when you created the new genetic groups? I guess that categorizing and classifying them all, what was the biggest surprise that you had on the team?
I think to me, the biggest surprise must have been some of the routes that different groups take. For example, you have groups that started in some faraway place in Eastern Europe and somehow made their way either to the US or to other different places, but through very unique paths. So they didn't just move from Eastern Europe to the US, but stopped on the way and had mingled with new populations and created new groups from that. So to me, those new paths, those stories were the most interesting parts for me.
And as you said earlier, that's hopefully what we're adding in the next couple of weeks, the arrows with the migration patterns, and that'll make it even more, I think, even more exciting to see where your ancestors traveled throughout the years, and where all the groups migrated. Really, really fascinating.
It really is, yeah. It will be like, okay, so now you can see the heat map and you can see how the heat map moves, and it's really fun. But once you have the migration paths, you will really be able to see how the group traveled and when, and what is the exact path that they took. And honestly, for me, it's one of the most interesting parts of the whole genetic group feature.
And I know you can't put an exact date, but when can we expect to see this in the genetic groups?
Well, it is something we're working on. The new parts that we're adding, the migration routes, is something we're working on and we'll add in the following weeks. I don't know in advance when we will be able to add new groups, but it is something we're working hard on, and we hope, and hopefully we'll be able to add it as soon as possible.
Okay, fantastic. And another big timing question that we see just coming up over and over again in the questions here: when will the actual ethnicity estimates be updated? I see that's a big recurring theme. So Shachar, do you have an answer for us when we can expect to see an update with the actual ethnicities, and not just the genetic groups, but the original ethnicities that we have on MyHeritage?
Yes. So as I said, we worked on genetic groups for over 2 years, but now that we're done not done with the genetic groups, but we're finished with the bigger part of it, we're moving on to our next big project, which is revamping the ethnicity estimate. We receive lots of feedback along the years, and we have good news. We are rebuilding our ethnicity estimate models based on completely new technologies, and we plan on releasing a new updated version later in 2021.
Fantastic. I know everyone's really looking forward to that as well. So lots and lots of good things to look forward to in 2021. We hope it'll be a fantastic year in all aspects, but also when it comes to ethnicities on MyHeritage. We have a question here from Barbara, and she says, can you go into a little more detail about what you mean by signatures when you were saying that we look for signatures within your DNA? Can you go into a little more detail there?
Sure, I can try. What I mean by signature is the way we look at DNA, we divide it into segments, and each segment is divided into what we call RSIDs. And that's basically the letters that some of us may know that comprise our DNA. So what we're looking for are different sets of letters that occur in the same RSIDs, in the same locations, across the same chromosomes. So once we have that, once we figure out that we have a big cluster of people who all have very similar matches, and they all have one or more segments that are exactly the same, we are able to say, okay, so that's probably the DNA signature that defines the group that we're looking at. Now let's start looking at other people who may have the exact same DNA signature, the exact same segments, or the exact letters in the same place across the DNA, and try to find whether they are related to the group or not. So if they have like the exact same or the full DNA signature, we can say with very good confidence that they are part of that group, which is why we'll give them the high level of confidence. And if they only have certain parts of the segments, or maybe the segments are broken down and half of the segment is right and the other half is wrong, we'll give it a lower level. But that's basically what we're looking for. We're looking for those sequences of letters in the DNA that stay in the same place, in the same chromosomes, and that way we can tell that you either do or you do not have the DNA signature that we're looking at.
Okay, great. Let's see. There was a question here. from Yux, and he says, will the genetic groups be updated regularly? So I know that we have this rollout of these added features that we're adding in the coming weeks, as you said, but is there a plan, let's say, for a regular update, something like that?
Well, it's still something that we're working on. So there will be updates. I can't say that it will be like every month we'll add new groups, but we do plan on adding more groups. We do plan on expanding in the groups that we already have. Some groups will be broken down into smaller groups if we see that's what we need to do. But we are planning on adding new groups over time. So there's always something to look forward to, and also always something exciting to learn about in the new genetic groups feature.
Okay, great. We'll take one last question, and this was from Tom. He asks, can I see or sort the DNA matches that share the same genetic groups that I have?
Currently, we can't. We can do that based on the DNA ethnicities that we have, but we still don't have the ability of sorting DNA matches based on groups. It is one of the things that we're working on. Hopefully, we'll be able to get to it soon. But no, we can't do it just yet, but I'm pretty sure we'll be able to do it in the near future.
Fantastic. It looks like so many great things are planned and so many great additions. I believe there was an email address also posted here in the comment section. If anyone has feedback about their specific genetic groups, please do send it in. We definitely want to hear about your experience and how it's going. And if you see corrections needed for a specific group, please do let us know. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank you, Shachar. What a great overview, so in depth, and we're just so excited about this new feature.
It was my pleasure. Thank you all for joining us today. It was a great privilege talking to all of you and showing you guys this great feature that we worked so hard on. And I hope you all enjoy it and keep safe.
Okay, fantastic. So I hope you'll join me in giving away a great prize, Shachar.
I will, sure.
The MyHeritage DNA test. And we hope that the winner, whoever wins, will let us know what their genetic groups look like at the end after they've taken their DNA test and sent it back and received their results. So the winner for today's session, drum roll please. Let's see. The winner is Crystal Reed, and Crystal wrote us, congratulations. And Crystal wrote us, I finally had my 92-year-old grandma agree to test. I want to get her tested at MyHeritage as soon as possible. She wants to find relatives of lost siblings. So Crystal, congratulations. We'll be in touch with you through private message to claim your prize. And thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, everybody. We hope that you learned a little bit more about this fantastic feature that Shachar and many teams worked really very hard on over the past few years. We're just so excited. And we hope that if you haven't had a chance to check them out yet, go check out your genetic groups or order a DNA test now. And thank you, Shachar. We hope that you have a great day.
You too, guys. Bye-bye. Keep safe.
Bye, everybody.